England manager Gareth Southgate there, talking about 2018. Dion, Robbie, welcome. When we look at what Gareth Southgate's talking about, we're going to come on to 2018 in a bit more detail in a minute, but the game yesterday, was that reflection on what we've seen from England over the course of this year? The kind of the grit, the determination, the character, but also the quality?
Yeah, I just think a massive injection of youth and energy and excitement. And I don't just think it's in and around the team. I think the whole nation, all of us have just got excited about what Gareth Southgate is trying to achieve with this young crop of players. And I think he's, so far, done everything right.
Do you agree with Dion there, Robbie?
Yeah, look, I think there were times yesterday when Croatia, could have put the game to bed. They did have a few chances, but that's where you give England credit because they never give in. You've just mentioned the character, the grit, determination. I think they had that in abundance. We like talking about all the great players that they've got, but they've ended up scoring 2 goals from 2 set pieces. So, Gareth's ticking all the boxes. He's got them playing wonderful stuff. He's got them, working out of set pieces. He's got them defensively, sound. So I think it's been a real quality year for England.
Does it feel like a real high point when you hear the manager talk about the atmosphere? Because he's played in similar atmospheres, hasn't he? And yourself as well, and you too, Dion. I mean, when you've got that real synergy between the crowd and the team, that shows that collectively everyone's come together, doesn't it?
It definitely helps, we've all played football, a good level here. So when the crowd's behind you, that gives you a lift 100%. And we've seen it, yesterday at Wembley. The crowd's right behind you. They never, give, the opposition that, what's the word I'm looking for? That the opposition
They don't get comfortable, do they?
Yeah, the chance to get comfortable.
Yeah.
So it was a case of England, keeping in the game, and obviously getting lifted by the crowd. Did they force themselves back in the game? We didn't probably see it, getting a result. Last five minutes, you get that goal.
It was a little bit of game management. We played against the same side in the World Cup, important match, and we sort of got lost within the game, got lost within the atmosphere.
Was that the players or the manager?
Everything. We all just got lost. We didn't really know what to do. We could make it. And I think that's what happened. I think genuinely the whole of the nation went, this could happen. And then while you're taking that deep, intake of breath, gone.
Yeah.
2 players, Rakitic, Modric, took control of the game at the World Cup and said, right, we'll have this. Whereas the game yesterday, completely different. Bit more composed, managed the game well, played like men, not boys in headlights.
Is that a sign of quite rapid growth? I mean, it's 130-odd games since the semi-final to yesterday. That shows a real leap, doesn't it, from a side, as you say, game management and maturity in that quick space of time.
I think it shows maturity that Gareth Southgate is allowing his players to make decisions. He will give them the boundaries, he will give them the borders to what they can work from and work to, but he'll also allow them to make decisions on the pitch. Go on, I know how good you are. I've seen you under the under-17s, 19s, 23s. Go on, kids, show them what you got. That's why you're in my squad.
Well, he's given them a little bit of freedom, hasn't he? And we've been obviously part of England squads in the past where the players are sort of kept under blankets, where they're not allowed to sort of go out there and express themselves. I think we're seeing a totally different England team because the players go out there, they look comfortable, they look happy, and when you're happy and comfortable, the football's better, and obviously when you've got a manager who understands the English players per se, I think that gives a little bit more as well, because I was never a believer of just because he's English he should be the manager. I was always under the impression that if you're a good manager, regardless of where you're from, you can be the manager of England. But
does that buy into the? I mean, I asked you before, Robbie, about the situation between the fans and the team. Does having an English manager who has played for the national team and knows what the pressure's like, in charge of a relatively young side, mean that there is a bit more patience about?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps. I was just obviously going to say before, I was never a big, doesn't really matter where you're from. As long as you're a good manager. I'm happy with you representing England. But when you sort of sit and analyse England, over the years gone by, the best managers we've had are the English managers. Your Bobby Robsons, your Teddy Venables, you could say Kevin Keegan, managers who are bringing out more of players, because I think they understand the English player a little bit better than what a Sven or a Fabio Capello would.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Do you think that, as Robbie's saying there, I mean, what these managers, or what those managers got at that group of players, is now consigned to not necessarily the history books, but that's days gone by. Now what we're seeing Gareth getting from this group of players? I mean, is it the perfect storm of not little expectation, but is it the unknown, the innocence that these players have got?
No, it is. I think we went into the World Cup. Most of the nation went into the World Cup. Listen, good luck. Good luck. You're a bunch of kids. We're not really expecting anything. But then that changed the further we went on, and we did get to that stage where we thought, well, maybe. But the answer to the question is the players that he's using at the moment that he knows very well. He knows they're good enough to perform on the international level. They've never experienced, I'm going to say never because I'm sure a lot of them have, but major disappointment or in the league or big defeats. So they're not quite sure how to deal with it because they've never been there before. So they are going into these big games, I think, Robbie, just go on.
I mean, the World Cup was an unbelievably big bonus, wasn't it? You know, when you sort of sit and think of where England were, I mean, I agree with what Dion's saying there about, you know, there was probably no pressure on, there was less pressure on this tournament than what previous.
Definitely.
But I think they got to where, or maybe a game further than what people were expecting anyway, because the group was relatively easy. You know, when we look how kind the quarter-finals, last of 16 and quarter-finals were, it was relatively kind, and we sort of fell back a little bit when we played Croatia. But you know, even since then, you know, we've played Croatia twice. You know, played Spain twice, and
the Spain result and performance, does that feel like a big kind of watershed moment in like post World Cup?
Yeah. Because, again, it looked like a group of men that just really managed that game well and thought to themselves, we're not going to be overawed. We know who you are, we know how good you can be, but we're edging up. We're getting closer to you. And I think England are. They've just got to keep listening to the manager, keep taking those performances onto the pitch. And I just hope that Gareth Southgate allows them to hold on to that little bit of freedom of their individual talent, because that's where I think we'll be dangerous.
Is it imperative then that Gareth's allowed to carry on in the way that he's been allowed to manage the team so far? Yeah,
no, agreed. And why wouldn't you let him carry on? Because he's done great. You know, he's done great.
You know what? I think we should mention as well. I think you know, he has done a remarkable job, Gareth, but he hasn't had maybe the players to pick from that previous managers have had. So, you know, the pool of players he's got is, you know, is not as big. And you give him, you know, even a little bit more credit for that, because he has brought more out of them.
I think he hasn't had the names. You know, those big names that Robbie's talked, the big names, the Gerrards and the Lampard, all those kind of players who are world class, by the way, absolutely world class. He hasn't had that batch to choose from. I think Robbie's bang on, but he's still had quality.
Yeah, and he's been able to develop players, hasn't he? I mean, if you look at his first team that he picked in Malta in October 2016, there's players there that, as we're going to move on and look at in just a second, that have made the most recent game. But there's a lot of names there that would some be beyond where Gareth would be looking right now? Have not necessarily had the chance, but came to a natural progressive end. Obviously, Wayne Rooney's one that stands out.
You know, I think if you look at, obviously Wayne's out the picture now, but if you look at Walker, possibly Sturridge, and Bertrand to a certain degree, they're the only three that I think are. Maybe Joe Hart as well. I still think Joe Hart's world class, by the way. But those three outfield players, number 7, 9, and 3, are maybe on the fringes and possibly won't get another chance. The rest of them have still. You know, they've got long careers in the game, long careers.
Well, if we look at the team that he picked yesterday for the Croatia game, it's Kyle Walker and John Stones. They're the ones that remain. But, I mean, there's some real exciting names there, aren't there, Robbie?
There is. I mean, you look at, obviously, the front three, obviously, in Sterling, Kane and Rashford. I mean, all exciting players, you know, can win games on their own. You obviously got Dyer and Delph who can sit and, you know, control games across the midfield. Barkley's been a lot more disciplined this year. He looks a better player. And obviously Walker and Stones, who obviously the names that we've seen in the first game. But, you know, the addition of Gomez and Chilwell, who are real good talent as well. And, I mean, the average age of this team is, I mean, it's frightening. So Gareth has got these to work with for a number of years, hopefully.
Does that bode well? Because when we hear about international football, the very much fragmented way that you can all come together, then you all go your separate ways.
Yep.
When you look at a young manager, that's been backed by the FA, and also the young team, does that mean they could get not necessarily a full decade altogether, but get a great portion of time together, couldn't they, to develop?
Well, it helps. And look, Gareth, you know, we're talking about the full England team here. And Gareth's played, or he's sort of played at a great level himself. He knows players. But what he's done, he's also been a manager under 21. So he's seen a lot of these players develop
So is this reflected in the kind of
time.
ages we're looking at here?
Well, there you go. So, I mean, there's exciting players there who, you know, have been very, very good playing for England. And obviously Jadon Sancho, you know, he's only got a few caps, but, you know, he looks a real standout, you know, star of the future. You know, you go down to the very bottom there, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek. You know, he's 21 years. 21
so many
years
good
old.
players there. I mean, you know, Trent Alexander's been outstanding. I think Harry Winks, you know, when he's played his bit part for England, so controlled. He's so relaxed on the ball, takes the ball under pressure. So a big pool of quality Gareth Southgate's got to choose from. And I just think if he can just keep, you know, we can't run before we can walk. We are getting better. But I don't think we need to heap loads of pressure on him. We need to let him develop these players at a nice, slow pace.
Are we seeing incremental improvement across the board, or has there been one area where you've kind of sat back and thought, wow, that's a huge leap?
No, I think we've been progressing, you know, all over the pitch. You know, really do. You know, I don't know, Dion mentioned Joe Hart, who's still a good keeper, but you know, the addition of a Pickford as well. I mean, he's a fantastic keeper. You know, he's probably a good shot stopper. Should say that you should be a good shot stopper for the keeper, anyway, but he probably has a lot more. You know, his distribution with his feet is very good. You know, his handling's very good. Gomez, you know, he's a real talent. You know, Trent to the other side, Chilwell starting off, the midfield three, and certainly the front three. I mean, they're an handful for any defences. You know, come up.
Going forward, I think we've got more than enough going forward. Defensively, for me, we've just more solid. You know, there's more players now that are playing in that defence that are more than happy to be vocal and say, right, let's do this. Walker will speak all day long. Stones tries to direct things. Chilwell now has only got a couple of caps, but he's a natural talker as well. And the goalkeeper, Pickford, doesn't stop talking. So, you know, which is great, because as a centre half, with my centre half's hat on, because I've got two hats, by the way, centre forward as well. He's just down there. When you can hear your keeper on and on and on and on, you know, you can't switch off. And I think that's what's happened. I feel like Gomez has got better.
But I mean, what I think, you know, obviously without, you know, putting a big, you know, dampener on things here, I mean, what we should worry about is, you know, the depth of the squad, because if, you know, the likes of Kane, Sterling get injured, you know, as much as we have got good players, they're not really the level of, you know, the stand-up players who we're seeing for England.